Sunday, your Monster Truck Rally podcast. Got it wrong. I did it again. No, this is the Form and Function Salon podcast, and I am your host, Benjamin J. There is a podcast for everything. So, we're coming up to the end of the year, and has it been good? I hope it's been good. You know, I feel like it's been a tricky year overall, all around 2017. But I hope that your 2017 was good. And if it was, let's go ahead and continue to make 2018 as awesome as possible. And if 2017 was a rough patch, it's behind you. We're moving on. We're going on to 2018, and 2018 is going to kick 2017's butt. So, anyway, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for listening and tuning in and subscribing. If you haven't yet, you can check out our new website. It's got a little bit of new paint on it. That is ffsaloneducation.com. You can just check it out, see what it looks like. We're going to be doing more there, but we felt like it was time to refresh the wheels. We want to get the new year off to a good start, so we got a new layout, new color scheme, and we should have some classes up there at some point this year, I should say. So let's talk about the new year, right? New year. I'm not a big resolution person. I think that oftentimes people put too much pressure on New Year's resolutions. They want to go too big, too fast. They have a list, half a dozen items long, and they're all major things, right? I'm going to stop eating meat. I'm going to go gluten-free. I'm going to be in the gym every single day. We're going to do that. And the reality is that you can't change that many things that quickly, And so then that's why, by February 1st, the gym is a lot less empty, right? Or I should say it's a lot more empty. Because we tried to make too big of a change too quickly. And so I'm not a big person on resolutions. I always try and come up with a theme. So last year, my theme was refinement and execution. And so the reason that I chose those last year was I felt that for us in our salon that we had the systems in place. We had done a lot in 2016 in terms of implementing some new items. And so for 2017, I didn't want to add anything new. I felt like we had everything. Some things needed to be tweaked and refined. But ultimately, we just needed to use our systems and go out there and execute and make it happen. And so that was last year's theme. Right now, I'm getting ready for our big company-wide kick-off the year event. We call it Ignition as a way to start the year. I would really recommend setting up something like this for you and your company, even if you guys only have 3 or 4 people or if you've got 100 people. But we bring everybody together. We get on the same page in terms of what are the goals for this next year. We try and do some inspiration, some education. We award people for their awesome performance in the previous year and give that recognition that people want and what they deserve. Really, like they worked incredibly hard this year. And so we want to recognize that. And honestly, just have fun. So that is coming up for us here at Hair Loft next week. But I think that a lot of times when we're talking about the new year, I want to grow my business next year. I want to do more. And I have often said that more is not necessarily what is needed, right? Like, yeah, we want to grow revenue, right? But how are you realistically going to get there? Not everybody needs more of everything in every situation. And so I wanted to give some of the coaching that I tend to use with our stylist to you as you're entering this new year to maybe give you some perspective on what do you need to do in order to get out of 2018 what you want to get out of it. So my first category, all right, there's only really 3 ways for us to grow our business. It's more, or more. But again, those 3 things aren't the same thing. So we can either have more guests, we can have them come more frequently, or we can have them do more services. There really isn't much of a fourth option if we're talking about service revenue. All right, we can either have more people in the salon, we can have those people coming more frequently, or those people that are coming to us can do more services with us. So typically for our new stylists, my stylists that are right out on the floor, the thing that I'm going to drive them to do is they need to see more guests. That's their number one goal right now, is getting people in to see them. So new guest recruitment. What is the plan for this year in order to recruit new people to come in to the salon and see you? All right. This is something that is not necessarily, we did one campaign or we only did this one thing. This should be an ongoing thing throughout the year. In today's world, online content is where you need to be. You know the platform that is going to be best for you and where your audience is. And if you don't, start looking through some of the analytics of if you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and see, like, where are we getting the most engagement, the best reaction? But online discovery is where people are finding businesses. And maybe if they walk past you or they drive past you. But spending money doing advertising in newspapers or yellow pages, things like that, is just, honestly, it's a waste of money. If you're in the local mailer, I think that that's a waste of money too. They will tell you, yeah, we sent it out to 10,000 people, but you have no idea how many of those people picked it up. You don't know how many people then turned to your page, how many people then clipped out that coupon or that mailing. And so instead of focusing on that, there's so many options for us to be able to create content around the work that we do, much more vivid imagery, getting it out and putting it in front of the people that see it. Now, obviously with social media, there's tons of free options. You've got your Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. But this year, one of my big focuses here at Hairloft is going to be putting ourselves in more sponsored locations. Paid advertising is only bad if you don't see a return. I used to, for a long time, think, well, we don't pay for any advertising. Oh, it's all word of mouth. And that, that's good if it's word of mouth and people are sharing it and talking you up. Like, that's awesome, right? But it's not a bad thing to pay for advertising, and it's only bad if you don't see a return on it. So for a while now, we've been a sponsor on Yelp. What does that mean? Well, it means in the search results, sometimes we get a little bit of boost. You don't get to delete bad reviews or anything like that, but it brings you up in the search results. And so being in Chicago's a city that a lot of people move to, being on there and being one of the places where people are going to look for a new hair salon, it helps to be a little bit higher on that page. But with Instagram and Facebook, they have built the best advertising and targeting platform that you can drill down. You can say, I only want people in this zip code. I only want people that like these pages. And you can really target the type of client that you want to have coming to your salon. And so I think that this year, for us, again, we're going to go big on Facebook and Instagram. And I might even shift some of the dollars that I'm spending on Yelp just to see how it works. And then, maybe your target audience is more of the type that is on Snapchat. And maybe putting a filter on Snapchat would be something that would be really good for you, Get some custom artwork, put it around the salon, maybe put it around an event that's happening so that you sort of like put your brand in front of the people that are at that concert or that thing. And that is it's a whole new platform that allows you to get your name out in front of people. All right? So that's just some ideas for recruiting clients online. But what about in salon? I think that oftentimes we forget about the power of being able to ask for a referral. And I know that I've even talked to some of my stylists in the past, and they've said, well, they've sent me everybody, but have they? Right? Like, especially like a new stylist, they haven't sent you everybody because they haven't sent you anybody yet. But even if you are an established stylist and you feel like I need to replenish my client pool, they sent me all their friends 20 years ago. Well, they sent them to you 20 years ago. Have they not met anybody? Do they not have any new coworkers or anybody? And so there's nothing wrong in asking, because I think that oftentimes even our clients will almost forget about the fact that, like, oh yeah, I should recommend somebody, But the flip side of that is, are you recommendable? Right? Like, if the work doesn't live up to what the guest wants, then of course, we're not going to earn that recommendation. Asking for the recommendation is only half the thing. Being recommendable is the other half. And so that's where driving our new stylists to understand the value of education and continuing to develop their skills so that they are, in fact, recommendable. One of the things that has worked well for us in the past years is around Valentine's Day, what we will do is we'll start to hand out like $25 Valentine's cards. And so this is something that we can give to our existing clients to give to new clients. I do not recommend that you give this to a new client to give to another new client, because that client is going to look at it and think, well, why can't I use this today? I'm a new client. This is my first visit. So making sure that we're giving it to established clients to then recommend us to their friends, and positioning it as a gift and not a discount, right? I want you to give this gift to your Valentine so that they can come to the salon and experience a service with us. It has been, honestly, it's been one of our best promotions, and I would really recommend doing something like that. So that's new stylists. They need more guests. Now, what about our established stylists, right? They need guests to come more frequently. Usually, in order to get out of that new stylist category and work the way up to stylist, we have enough regulars. We have enough people that have established a business, but oftentimes we don't need to be recruiting more people. What we need to do is actually just see them more often. It truthfully only takes you about 300 people to build a clientele. Now, depending on your specialty, that may change a little bit, but usually around 300 people is what you need. And so we need to get those people to come in as frequently as possible. Now, they're most likely not going to be there every week, but hey, maybe you're a blowout specialist, and so they are going to be there every week. Or maybe you're a men's haircut specialist, barber, and you're going to have your guys in there, every 2 or 3 weeks. But we need to see them as frequently as possible to match the style and the look that they want to maintain. And so the best way to do this is to talk about it in person. In your style profile, discussing with them, here's the maintenance that this is going to be. If we do color today, the rate of your growth, I'm going to need to see you back in 5 weeks. If we do this haircut at this length, it's going to grow out in about 7 weeks. You know your clients. And they're truthfully, honestly, do not overlook the knowledge that you have and your ability to do it and your professionalism. That's what they're coming to you for. It's not just so that they can talk about their sister or brother-in-law or the latest that's in the gossip and news. I just said latest in the gossip like I was 50 years old. I think I was losing my mind. But you get what I'm saying. Like, they're coming there for your advice. So don't feel like you can't or shouldn't give it to them. That's exactly what you should be giving to them. And so plan with them in person. And in addition to just telling them like the frequency, also give them a plan that they can dream about. All right. So if I say, Cindy, today we did a haircut. Next time we're going to do a cut and highlight. And then the time after that, we'll just do cut and style again. And so that way I'm already talking to her about like, what is going to be the process? What is the plan for her hair? And so then we can get it on the book. And so we plan in person, and then before they leave the salon, we want to get them to pre-book. Pre-booking today, I think, is one of the most challenging things going on in the salon. People are less committal today than ever before. They love online booking. They love leaving their schedules open. I'm hosting a New Year's Eve party with a group of my best friends, and they all said maybe. I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys can't even commit to coming to my New Year's party that you guys come to every single year? But the reality is people are less committal. And so pre-booking or rebooking, depending on what verbiage you want to use, I know has been a staple of the industry, and I think that that's sometimes why people brush it over. But it is still really important, because when people don't pre-book something, say they're supposed to be here in 8 weeks, for somebody that is established, they will call in 8 weeks and they say, can I come in today? And you say, no, I don't have anything available for another 2 weeks. And so now it's 10 weeks. And so instead of us being able to get, 5 visits out of that person, now we're only going to get, 5 or 6. So we lose a visit with that person. And in addition to losing the visit, the client is also generally unhappy, right? You couldn't get me in? What happened? Well, they called at the last minute, but they still expected to get in. All right, so if we have those things, how can we work out a way for them to come in and see us? A simple thing that we did a couple of years ago was we called it a weekly treat. And so anybody that was getting a cut and a color service, or just a color service, we gave them a little card that was a weekly treat that said that they could come back and get a complimentary blowout when they paid for a treatment, because our treatments were priced higher than what our blowouts were. So we wanted them to pay for the treatment and then get the complimentary blowout. And so the way that we did it internally was the stylist would get credit for the treatment sale, and then we would have one of the proteges do the blowout. Gives the protege some practice, gets revenue in there. The stylist is able to get that guest coming back into the salon more frequently. And so that was really modeled after the Starbucks treat receipt, if you guys remember that, where basically if you came in the morning and you bought a coffee, if you brought your receipt back after 2 o'clock, they gave you a discounted beverage. And so they were trying to take you from 1 Starbucks visit a day to 2 Starbucks visits a day. And I don't know if we really need that much Starbucks, but for the salon, what we were trying to do was say, okay, so this is a person that, let's say that they're a really dedicated cut and color client. They're coming in every 5 weeks. So if I give them this weekly treat card, could I take them from a 5-week cut and color to a cut and color, and then in 3 weeks a treatment blowout, and then in 2 weeks a cut and color? And so again, like being able to double that frequency without even finding a new client, you're able to bring that guest up from, let's say it's a $100 cut and color, pretty moderate price. Let's say your treatments are $30. That person alone just increased their spend over the course of the year with this new service, more frequency, by 30%. And then, if you don't want to do something like that, though, making sure that you are reaching out to guests in order to bring them back. Old school way would be probably writing out postcards. Oh, we've missed you so much. We want to see you again. But typically, we only send those postcards to people that like really haven't been in, right? Like, oh, I haven't seen this person in 6 months. I'm going to send them a postcard. If your software allows it, you should have some sort of an automated process where you can establish when you want to send out an email. Ours goes out 4 weeks after their last visit, letting them know that they do not have a future reservation set up. If somebody does have a reservation set up, they don't get the email. And then we send another one after 8 weeks. And so the content in those is a little different. But the point is that we're reaching out to them, that we're not just standing by waiting for people to call us. And then the last category, so we've got new stylist, and then our top stylist. Again, this is typically somebody that has been established. In my expertise, I've never wanted to say that. In my experience, this is typically, we get to a point where you do have to start to battle when clients start to move away, right? Like we go uphill, right? We're building, we become a stylist, we've got an awesome book going on, but eventually maybe you get to a point where people are retiring, people are moving, just changing life changes, they move out to the suburbs, whatever. And so we have to come up with a plan to fill in the gaps sometimes, right? So while they normally still have enough regulars to build, the key here is hopefully getting them to enjoy and experience more services in the salon. Can you take your single service guest, so maybe somebody that's just a haircut, and can you turn them into a double, cut and color, or a cut and treatment? And can you take those doubles and turn them into triples? So if somebody is cut and color, can you add a highlight option? And so the first thing here is like, does your menu support something like that? Does your menu allow for people to get a step into other services? Are there color options that allow them to test drive color before fully committing? Is there a way for them to do some highlight or blonding work without having to do a full highlight or a traditional highlight? Like we have something that is called a mini highlight, and it's basically a quarter head of highlights or something like that, but it allows us to just sort of pop in a few, and it is the introduction that can always lead to more. So again, treatments, color options, blonding options, texture services. You might have somebody that they love their hair color, they like it, they just are so frustrated with having to work with their hair that a texture service would absolutely be there for them. And so I'm giving this advice from the position that all of our stylists are trained to do everything. We're not departmentalized. So that may be a situation where if you are departmentalized, if you are only a colorist, what options do you have to play with? Might be able to do multiple color services. If you're a cutter, where else can you grow? Can you add a treatment, right? Can you add some sort of a conditioning service to their reservation? And if that's not the option, well, then maybe you need to go back to more frequent, or maybe you need to go back to more guests. But with more services, something that we did 2 years ago, I believe, was obviously balayage and ombre and everything started to become a big thing. So we introduced a new service menu that allowed us to kind of break those services off, and we called it our handcrafted color service. And so we were able to take that traditional highlight and upgrade it by 10 or 15%, but we also made it a specialty so that it had its own place on the menu. It was our handcrafted color option. And one thing that we just did that was really different for us, we just did this in October, so like 3 months ago, was we actually started to bundle some of our services together. For as long as I can remember, our service menu here at Hairloft has always been a la carte. So you had your color, you had your highlights, you had toner, you had your haircut. And so we decided that, especially with some of the trends in color, that doing things a la carte was too difficult. So you would end up with a client that, if you're talking about doing highlights, but it's going to need to be toned, and you tell them, your highlights are going to be $110, and then to tone it, it's going to be another $40. I would say, oh, no, I don't want the toner. Okay, well, that's our bad, because we need to do it in order to achieve the look that you want. And so what we started to look at our numbers, and we realized that our toners, we call them a shine treatment. So our shine treatments weren't matching up with the amount of blonding services that we were doing, and we didn't like that. So what we decided to do was we bundled all of our blonding services, so all of our balayages, all of our highlights, with a shine treatment. And so we were able to take those single service guests and turn them into double service guests, and obviously increase the service price. And so some people might be thinking like, that's crazy, how did you do that? But we did. For our new stylists, we raised our partial highlight from $110 to a partial highlight and shine treatment for $150. And we just said that that's the way that it's going to be. Now, some people that were already paying that just a la carte, there's no price difference. But for the people that weren't getting those services bundled together, that's a big jump. But because it was a value add, right, they are now getting a treatment as opposed to just taking a highlight and calling it now a $150 highlight. Now it's a highlight and a shine treatment. There's more value added to the service, and so it makes sense. And if people are getting a standalone shine treatment, that's $55, so they can see that the bundle kind of works in their favor. So that is a way for you to be able to bundle services to allow then people to be experiencing more services coming to see you. So again, your options here to grow are more, or more, just depending on where you're at. But I feel like my vibe going into 2018 is that at times, honestly, enough can be enough. And I was just reading this article about Apple, and they just had their fourth quarter, and their next quarter, people are projecting that it's going to be the biggest quarter that they've ever had by something like $7 billion, And I'm sure that when the report comes out, they're going to look at it and be like, well, yeah, they sold 100 billion iPhones, but they didn't sell 100 billion in one, and it just seems like a goofy mechanism to use to try and figure out, is the business growing or is the business valuable? I think the thing that we are all in pursuit of is more happiness, and more happiness is that's really the key. We can come up with plans for how to build a business, and I will continue to share that. But honestly, more happiness should be the goal in 2018. And so, if you are happy with your business, right on, man. That's what everybody's chasing. Now don't lose sight of the fact that you do need to continue to keep things fresh and up to date, because people do grow tired, and then you'll become unhappy with your business, I bet. But if you're happy and content, that is the pursuit that everybody is on, right? The pursuit of happiness. So thank you for being a part of this 2017. I hope that all of 2018 is going to be, just a fabulous, successful lifestyle of a year. And let's go crush 2018. So thank you. I would love your feedback. You can hit me up, ben@thehairloftltd.com. Send me that email. Let me know, what are your goals for 2018? I would love to hear what your goal is for this next year. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And of course, follow us on social. That is @FFSalonEDU on Instagram, or @BNJMNJ for myself personally. But yeah, let's make 2018 the year of the successful lifestyle.